Captain Elias Ward leaned back in his chair aboard the horizon, watching the swirling colors of the uncharted system outside the viewport. The stars here were different, strange shades of violet and green that seemed to hum faintly in the emptiness of space. It was a sector untouched by human explorers, and Elia's crew had been tasked with cataloging anything of value they could find. Minerals, alien flora, even technological artifacts. It didn't matter. Humanity had expanded far and wide, but there was always more to discover, always a new challenge waiting. "Captain, we're entering orbit around the planet," said Lieutenant Myra Chen, her voice calm but tense. "Sensors are picking up structures on the surface, large crystalline buildings. No life forms detected yet." Elias sat up, feeling a mix of excitement and unease. "Crystalline buildings, that's new. Everyone suit up. We're going down." The landing was smooth, though the gravity of Zithra felt heavier than expected. The air was breathable but tinged with a strange metallic scent, and the sky shimmered in streaks of gold and teal. The planet seemed alive in a way that humans weren't used to, as though it were observing them, measuring them. Their first steps were cautious. The ground beneath them was hard but not uncomfortable, like stepping on frozen glass. They made their way toward the nearest structure, which resembled a palace made entirely of translucent crystals, refracting the sunlight into prismatic patterns that dazzled the eye. Suddenly, a hum echoed through the air. Elias froze. From the palace steps, figures emerged. They were unlike anything humans had ever seen. Tall, graceful, and luminous, their skin shimmered faintly in different colors, shifting like liquid light. Their eyes were large, expressive, and surrounded by patterns that seemed to glow. They did not speak aloud, but Elias felt a curious presence, as if their thoughts were brushing against his mind. "We're being observed," muttered Chen. "I don't think they are hostile yet." Before anyone could react further, a figure separated from the others. She moved with fluid elegance, her body almost glowing with a soft, ethereal light. She was taller than the rest, her presence commanding. Elias instinctively recognized her as the leader, the alien queen. "You are far from home," Elias said aloud, trying to sound confident though his stomach knotted. "I am Captain Elias Ward of the ship Horizon. We come in peace." The queen paused. Then, in a voice that resonated directly in his mind, she said, "You are not like the others. You carry something different." Elias blinked. The words were not spoken, they were thought, but clear and deliberate. He felt a strange mix of fear and fascination. He wanted to respond with caution, to act formally, but some small impulse made him smirk. "You'd be a lovely wife," he said, half joking, half nervous, expecting confusion or anger. The moment the words left his mouth, the queen froze. Her luminous skin flickered as if processing a strange new emotion. Then, unexpectedly, she smiled. "I accept," she said, her voice still inside his mind. The words hit Elias like a jolt. He staggered slightly, trying to process what had just happened. The rest of the crew stared at him in shock. Chen's mouth hung open. "Wait, what?" Elias whispered, rubbing his forehead. "Did you just accept that?" "Yes," she replied, her gaze steady. "You are remarkable. Humor, courage, integrity, traits rarely seen among your kind." Elia's crew exchanged uneasy glances. He realized that what was happening went beyond a joke or an accident. The Xylians had a system of bonding that humans didn't fully understand, one that went beyond language or culture. Somehow he had triggered it. "Bonding?" Chen asked cautiously. "Is this like marriage?" "Not exactly," Elias admitted, though he wasn't sure himself. "It seems ceremonial, but also deeper. Intellectual, moral, emotional. I don't think we understand it yet." The queen's luminous form shifted slightly, moving closer to him. "I sense your thoughts. You fear the unknown. You fear misunderstanding. Yet you remain steadfast." Elias cleared his throat, trying to regain some composure. "I'm not sure why this is happening, but if this is important to you, we will respect it. But understand, we didn't come here expecting. Well, this. She regarded him with what seemed like admiration. Expectations are irrelevant. Actions define one's essence. You acted with honesty and courage. That is enough. The tension between their two species hung thickly in the air. The other Xylians observed silently, curious but cautious. Elia's mind raced. He had always believed humans had unique strengths, but this was extraordinary. Humans had survived countless conflicts, adapted to impossible environments, and now they were standing before an alien queen, being chosen not for dominance or power, but for character. The queen gestured toward the crystalline palace. Come, you will meet the council, decisions must be made. Your bond is not merely personal, it may define the future of our species. Elias swallowed hard. Council, future of your species. I don't know if we're ready for that. She smiled faintly. Readiness is a matter of perspective. It is your courage that matters now. Inside the palace, the council chamber was a breathtaking display of architecture that defied human logic. Crystalline spires twisted into impossible angles, reflecting and amplifying light from every direction. The council itself was composed of several Xylians, each exuding a quiet power. They watched Elias with an intensity that made his skin prickle. Queen Lysera, as he now knew her name, addressed the council. This human, Elias Ward, has been chosen. He carries qualities our species admires and respects. His bond with me is unprecedented. We must consider what this means for Zithra and for humanity. A murmuring passed through the council. Elias felt their thoughts brushing against his mind, probing, questioning. One elder, her glow dimmer and more muted, spoke through telepathy. Humans are unpredictable. Can we trust them? Elias realized he had to act. I understand your caution, he said aloud, though his words were guided by a calm that surprised even him. Humans may be different, but I promise you my intentions are honest. We want peace, understanding, and friendship. The chamber was silent. Then Lysera stepped closer. We will see. Tomorrow a ceremony will confirm our bond and define its implications. Tonight rest, prepare yourself. Back in the guest quarters, Elias paced. The crew watched him anxiously. Captain, this is insane, Chen said. An alien queen just accepted your joke as a bond, and now the fate of her species might rest on your shoulders. How do we handle that? Elias rubbed his temples. We handle it like humans always do, with honesty, courage, and a little wit. If nothing else, we can show them what humanity is capable of. He looked out the window at the alien night. Zithra glowed under twin moons, rivers of bioluminescent flora winding across the land. He felt small, yet powerful. This planet, this moment, was a reminder that humans had something unique. They could connect, inspire, and survive in ways no one else could imagine. That night, sleep eluded him. He thought about Lysera, about the council, about the vast unknown. He realized that the galaxy was bigger than any human mind could comprehend. Yet, in this one choice, one act of humor and honesty, he had sparked a possibility that could change everything. When morning came, the ceremonial grounds shimmered under a pale sun. Elias stood beside Lysera as the Xylian council assembled. The air was thick with anticipation. Humans and Xylians alike would witness the first true interspecies bond of its kind. Lysera extended her hand, her glow intensifying. Elias Ward stepped forward. Show the council what it means to stand with humanity. Elias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He had no idea what would happen next, but he understood this. In this moment, human courage and integrity would be tested. And whatever the outcome, he would face it with the qualities that had earned him this unprecedented honor. As he took her hand, he realized one undeniable truth: humans were capable of greatness. Not just in war, not just in invention, but in connection, in trust, in humor, and in courage. And perhaps that was the most powerful force in the galaxy. The council watched silently as the bond ceremony began. Light swirled around them, responding to the connection between human and Xylian. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a promise of possibilities yet to come. He looked at Lysera and smiled. Let us show them what humanity can do, he thought. And with that, the future of two species hung in balance, waiting for the courage of one human to shape the course of history. The ceremony grounds sparkled in the soft light of Zithra's twin suns. Crystalline towers refracted the golden and teal sunlight, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the assembled crowd. The Xylian Council floated above the ground, their luminous forms pulsing with anticipation. Elia's ward stood beside Queen Lysera, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The bond they had formed was no longer private. It was a symbol, a statement that could define relations between humans and Xylians for generations. Lysera's glow intensified, signaling that the bond was about to be officially recognized. Elias glanced at her, and she gave a faint smile. There was trust in her eyes, but also a challenge. It was clear that the council would scrutinize every word, every action, every reaction. A sudden ripple passed through the crowd. Elias felt it before he saw it, a subtle, threatening disturbance in the energy around the chamber. His instincts screamed that not everyone present supported the bond. Indeed, a faction of Xylians, their forms dimmer and more shadowed, were whispering among themselves, their thoughts brimming with suspicion and fear. Elias tightened his jaw. So, it's not just a celebration, he murmured to Lysera. Some of them aren't happy about this. She nodded slightly, her glow flickering. They fear change, they fear your species, but your courage has already drawn attention. Now you must act with clarity and integrity. As the ceremony began, Lysera's telepathic voice rang in his mind. Stand firm. Let them see humanity for what it is, not just strong but honorable, clever, and fearless. Elias took a deep breath. He stepped forward to address the council, his voice carrying across the chamber. Honorable council members, I understand that humans are unknown to you. Our ways may be different. We may make mistakes, and sometimes we even make jokes that are poorly timed, he said, glancing at Lysera with a subtle smirk. But I promise this, we do not seek to dominate, to harm, or to deceive. We seek understanding, partnership, and mutual respect. That is the essence of humanity. The council murmured among themselves. Elias felt their thoughts brushing against his mind, weighing his words, judging his sincerity. Some seemed skeptical, others intrigued. Before anyone could respond, a sudden commotion erupted at the edge of the chamber. Several Xylians from the shadowed faction lunged forward, attempting to disrupt the ceremony. They moved with precision, but not recklessly. Their intent was clear. They wanted to stop the bond, to assert that humans were unworthy. Elias reacted immediately. Years of military training and countless exploratory missions had prepared him for crises like this. He dodged an attacker, using his agility and quick thinking to evade their strikes. He grabbed a crystalline staff that had fallen from a ceremonial display and used it to block and deflect, not to harm. He wanted to prove that humans could handle danger with courage but without needless violence. Lysera moved beside him, her presence radiant and powerful. She extended her hand, and a wave of energy emanated from her, slowing the attacker's movements without causing injury. Together, human and Xylian worked in perfect synchrony, Elias using his tactical skill and quick thinking, Lysera using her alien abilities to neutralize the threat. Within moments, the attackers were restrained, their resistance broken. The council observed in stunned silence. Elias straightened, brushing off dust and straightening his uniform. They tried to stop progress, he said simply, but progress cannot be halted by fear. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause, murmurs, and thought waves. Some of the council members floated closer to inspect the human, their skepticism slowly giving way to admiration. Elias felt a warmth in his chest. This was the first time humans had demonstrated to the Xylians that they were capable not only of intelligence and ingenuity, but also of courage under pressure, compassion, and integrity. Lysera's telepathic voice was gentle but firm. "You have done more than survive. You have shown our species that humanity is not to be feared but respected." The ceremony resumed. Lysera extended her hand toward Elias again. "Now the bond must be formalized. We stand together not as conqueror and subject but as partners, as equals." Elias nodded. He took her hand, feeling a warmth and energy unlike anything he had ever experienced. Their minds brushed lightly as part of the bonding ritual, sharing understanding, trust, and mutual respect. It was subtle, not overwhelming, but it left him with a profound sense of connection. The council, one by one, approached to acknowledge the bond. Even those who had opposed it now offered gestures of respect, recognizing the bravery and integrity Elias had displayed. They understood that humans were different, not weaker, not stronger in the conventional sense, but unique. As the ceremony concluded, Elias and Lysera stepped back, hand in hand. The crowd dispersed, leaving the two of them on a balcony overlooking the crystalline city. The twin suns cast long shadows, highlighting the beauty of Zithra's landscape. Rivers of glowing flora meandered through the terrain, reflecting in the crystalline spires. It was a sight both alien and breathtaking. Lysera's voice was soft in his mind. "You have done well, Elias. Your species has much to offer, and now a bridge exists between us. I see the potential for partnership, exploration, and understanding. Together, we can achieve things neither species could alone." Elias felt a sense of pride, tempered by humility. "I never imagined it would come to this," he admitted. "But I see now that humans have a role in the galaxy that goes beyond survival. We can inspire, protect, and connect. And sometimes, even a small act of honesty or humor can open doors that seemed impossible." Lysera's glow pulsed softly, a sign of amusement and approval. "Indeed, your humor, it was unexpected, but it revealed your true nature. Courage, honesty, and wit are rare among any species. They are invaluable." Over the next several days, humans and Xylians worked together to establish formal agreements. Scientific exchanges, cultural understanding, and collaborative exploration were all planned. Elias led his crew in joint missions with Xylian teams, sharing human innovations while learning from the alien technology. Every success reinforced the bond between the species and highlighted humanity's unique qualities. During one exploration mission, Elias encountered a strange phenomenon, a massive energy storm approaching Zithra, threatening both the city and surrounding regions. The storm was unlike anything recorded, its energy fluctuating unpredictably. Xylian sensors indicated it could devastate the fragile crystal structures and harm the native wildlife. Elias immediately devised a plan. Using human ingenuity and the Xylians' advanced energy manipulation technology, he proposed a network of stabilizers that could absorb and redirect the storm's energy safely. It was risky. Failure could result in catastrophic damage. But Elias had grown to trust his instincts, and the stakes were too high to hesitate. Lysera coordinated her people, amplifying their energy projections, while Elias directed human engineers to integrate human tech into the stabilizer grid. The two species worked in perfect harmony, combining intuition, creativity, and bravery. Hours passed as the storm approached, but finally the energy was successfully contained and dissipated. The city and planet were safe. The council, observing from the palace, was amazed. Elias had not only protected them but had done so in a way that highlighted human adaptability and courage. They began to see that humanity's strength was not just in its technology, but in its character and creativity. That evening, Elias stood on the balcony with Lysera. The twin moons had risen, casting a soft glow across the crystalline city. He felt a quiet pride not just in himself but in humanity. "You did well," Lysera said, her glow gentle. "Your species has proven its worth, but more than that, you have inspired. Fear has been replaced by trust, suspicion has been replaced by respect." Elias smiled. "I never thought a joke and a little courage could do all that." She laughed softly, the sound resonating in his mind. "Humor is a bridge, courage is a key, and you have both." Over time, human and Xylian relations flourished. Scientists collaborated, cultural exchanges enriched both species, and exploratory missions into uncharted space became joint ventures. The bond between Elias and Lysera became a symbol of the potential of cooperation, trust, and understanding. Humans were no longer seen as unknown outsiders. They were partners, capable of shaping the galaxy with their intellect, creativity, and spirit. In the years that followed, humanity expanded further into Xylian territory, bringing knowledge and curiosity wherever they went. Conflicts were resolved with negotiation rather than force, and the story of a human captain whose honesty and humor had bridged the gap between species became legend. Elias often reflected on that first moment, when a joke had sparked a connection that changed everything. He realized that humans were not the strongest or the fastest, but they were resilient, clever, and capable of inspiring even the most alien minds. That was humanity's greatest power. And as he stood beside Lysera, watching the stars stretch infinitely above Zithra, he understood the truth that had become clear through every challenge and triumph. The universe was vast, full of unknowns, but humans, through courage, humor, and integrity, could rise to meet it. Together, species could achieve greatness beyond imagination. And sometimes, all it took was one human willing to act with honesty, one human willing to stand firm, and one human willing to show what humanity truly meant. The galaxy, once vast and lonely, was no longer so. Humanity had left its mark, not through conquest or domination, but through character, ingenuity, and the courage to connect. Elias smiled, feeling the pulse of the universe around him, and knew that this was only the beginning. He had laughed, he had joked, and in doing so, he had changed the course of history. And that was the human way.